It all started innocently enough. Mariah Carey, the Queen of Christmas herself, graced the set of Andy Cohen's late-night talk show, Watch What Happens Live. Fans were expecting a light-hearted chat, maybe some behind-the-scenes gossip, or fun banter about her incredible career. But what no one anticipated was the intense moment that would unfold, leaving everyone at home completely stunned. Mariah, known for her poised and glamorous persona, was about to show a different side to her. Cohen, the charming and often cheeky host, kicked off the evening with his usual friendly tone, asking Mariah about her upcoming projects and, of course, her iconic holiday season. However, it didn't take long before the conversation took a turn, veering into more personal territory. Andy, in his signature style, dug a bit deeper, touching on topics that seemed to hit a nerve with Mariah. His approach, playful and candid, quickly turned into something more uncomfortable. The first spark came when Cohen asked Mariah about her rumored feuds with other pop stars. Mariah, always known for her diplomatic answers, usually sidestepped such questions with grace. But this time, something was different. As Andy continued to press, asking about her relationship with a particular rival, Mariah's smile faded, and her eyes narrowed. It was clear that this was not a topic she wanted to revisit. Mariah's voice, usually soft and melodic, shifted. Her response, though calm, carried a hint of irritation. "I don't have time for negativity," she stated. "I prefer to focus on the positive things in my life." The tension in the room was palpable. Andy, perhaps sensing the shift in tone, quickly tried to move the conversation along, but it was too late as the atmosphere had changed. Andy's persistence seemed to fuel Mariah's frustration. When he asked about her past relationships, particularly her marriage to music mogul Tommy Mottola, things escalated. Mariah, who had often been private about her personal life, seemed to take offense at the direct nature of Cohen's question. "I don't think that's anyone's business," she snapped, her calm exterior now starting to crack. Andy, never one to shy away from a challenge, pushed further. He asked about Mariah's experience working with other high-profile figures in the music industry. This time, Mariah's patience wore thin. "I've had my share of experiences," she said, her voice rising slightly, "and not all of them have been pleasant." It was a rare moment of vulnerability from the diva, but it also hinted at a deeper frustration that had been bubbling beneath the surface. The tension reached its peak when Cohen asked a question about Mariah's infamous diva reputation. Known for her high standards and sometimes demanding behavior, Mariah had long been the subject of media scrutiny. But tonight, the question seemed to hit a nerve. "I don't like the word diva," she said, her voice sharp. "It's used to undermine women who know what they want." The force behind her words left Andy momentarily speechless. For a moment, the studio was silent. Andy Cohen, ever the professional, quickly regained his composure, attempting to steer the conversation to safer ground. But it was clear that Mariah was not in the mood for small talk. The air between them had thickened, and her icy demeanor was a stark contrast to the warm, jovial mood that usually characterized her interviews. As the interview continued, the clash between Cohen's probing questions and Mariah's increasingly curt responses became more evident. The once smooth and playful exchange had turned into a battle of wills. Mariah, who typically excelled at controlling the narrative, was now visibly upset. It was a rare sight for fans who had grown accustomed to her charming and polished persona. At one point, Cohen attempted to lighten the mood with a playful comment about Mariah's legendary vocal range. But even that didn't seem to win her over. "I don't need anyone to remind me of my talent," she said, her voice laced with annoyance. "I've been doing this for decades." It was a statement that left no room for further discussion on the matter. The awkwardness in the room was now undeniable. Fans watching at home could sense the shift in energy. Mariah, the woman who had once captivated the world with her charm and grace, was now visibly irritated. Cohen, ever the tactful host, tried to keep the conversation going, but his usual charisma seemed to have little effect on the diva now sitting before him. It wasn't just the questions that seemed to upset Mariah, it was the way in which they were asked. Her discomfort grew as Andy's inquiries became more pointed, even though they were seemingly harmless on the surface. It was as if she had reached her breaking point. "I don't think this is the kind of interview I was hoping for," she remarked coldly. Cohen, sensing that the situation was getting out of hand, made a quick attempt to apologize. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, Mariah," he said, his tone shifting to one of empathy. But Mariah wasn't ready to accept the apology just yet. Instead, she fixed him with a steely gaze and responded, "Maybe you should have thought about that before asking certain questions." The tension between them was now palpable, and it seemed unlikely that the interview would return to its previous lighthearted tone. But Andy, to his credit, didn't back down. He pushed forward with a more general question about Mariah's career. "What's next for you, Mariah?" he asked, hoping to steer the conversation into safer waters. Mariah, still visibly upset, took a deep breath before answering. "I'm focused on my music, as always," she said, her voice slightly softer but still tinged with frustration. "I've been working on some new material, and that's where my energy is right now." It was a predictable answer, but the way she delivered it made it clear that she was still processing the earlier questions. For a brief moment, it seemed like the interview might settle into a more comfortable rhythm. But as Cohen continued to ask his probing questions, Mariah's frustration seemed to build. She was no longer giving the answers with the same enthusiasm she had at the beginning of the show. The charm that usually defined her interviews had been replaced with a cold, distant air. The fans in the studio audience could feel the discomfort as well. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others exchanged nervous glances. It was evident that the once dazzling Mariah Carey was no longer the same person sitting before them. Something had snapped, and it was unclear whether she would be able to regain control of the interview. By the time Andy asked a question about her upcoming Christmas special, Mariah was visibly agitated. "Why does everyone always want to talk about Christmas?" she asked, her tone sharp. "I've done a lot more in my career than just Christmas music, you know." The comment seemed to catch Andy off guard, and he hesitated for a moment before responding. At this point, the conversation had lost all pretense of being lighthearted or fun. Mariah, who had once been so eager to engage with her fans and the press, seemed to have completely withdrawn into herself. She gave short, clipped answers, and it was clear that she was no longer enjoying the interaction. Andy, ever the professional, tried his best to keep the show moving, but no amount of professionalism could mask the growing tension between them. Mariah, it seemed, was no longer willing to play the game. She had reached her limit, and the clash between her and Andy Cohen was now impossible to ignore. For viewers watching at home, it was a shocking departure from the usual carefree vibe that characterized Mariah's public appearances. As the interview drew to a close, it was evident that neither Mariah or Andy had come out on top. The exchange had been uncomfortable, and the energy in the room had shifted irreparably. For Mariah, this moment would likely become another chapter in her complicated relationship with the media. For Andy, it was yet another instance of his willingness to push boundaries, and sometimes, those boundaries are pushed back. The aftermath of the interview was swift. Social media erupted with fans and commentators offering their own opinions about what had transpired. Some sympathized with Mariah, feeling that she had been unfairly pressed on sensitive topics. Others felt that she had overreacted, given the relatively harmless nature of Cohen's questions. In the days that followed, Mariah took to social media to address the incident. "I don't owe anyone an explanation," she wrote in a cryptic post, "but sometimes, you have to stand your ground." It was a powerful statement, one that resonated with many of her fans who had long admired her for her strength and resilience in the face of public scrutiny. Andy Cohen, meanwhile, seemed to take a more measured approach to the incident. He acknowledged the tension in the interview but emphasized that he had no ill intentions. "I just want to have a conversation with my guests," he said in a follow-up interview. But sometimes, things don't go as planned. As the dust settled, the Mariah Carey-Andy Cohen clash became one of the most talked-about moments in recent entertainment history. It was a reminder that even the most composed stars have their breaking points, and that the media can sometimes push too far. Mariah's fans rallied around her, But the incident also sparked a larger conversation about the boundaries of celebrity interviews. Ultimately, this clash between Mariah and Andy Cohen was a moment of human vulnerability. It revealed a side of Mariah that many people had never seen before with the woman behind the diva persona. And while it was an uncomfortable encounter, it also reminded fans that even their idols are entitled to set boundaries and assert their own power. In the aftermath, it became clear that Mariah Carey was not someone to be underestimated. Despite her image as a glamorous superstar, she was fiercely protective of her privacy and her narrative. Her clash with Andy Cohen was a testament to her strength, and it sent a clear message to the media: don't push her too far. In the end, the interview was a reminder of the complexities of fame. Celebrities, no matter how much they seem to have it all, are human. They have their limits, their frustrations, and their personal boundaries, and sometimes, those boundaries will be tested, leading to moments of tension like the one between Mariah and Andy Cohen. But as always, Mariah Carey emerged from the clash with her dignity intact. Fans continued to support her, and the media buzz around the incident only heightened her mystique. In many ways, the confrontation was just another chapter in her storied career, a reminder that she is a force to be reckoned with, both on and off the stage. As Mariah continues to conquer the music world, her public image will undoubtedly remain as complex and multifaceted as ever. But moments like the one on Andy Cohen's show only add to her legendary status. Whether you love her or not, it's clear that Mariah Carey is never afraid to stand her ground, especially when the stakes are high. Following the intense exchange on Watch What Happens Live, Mariah Carey's name became a trending topic across social media platforms. Fans and critics alike analyzed every moment of the interview, dissecting her expressions, tone, and the underlying tension that had built up throughout the segment. While some defended her, others felt that she had overreacted. But one thing was clear: Mariah had sparked a conversation that wasn't going to die down anytime soon. In the days that followed, Mariah's fanbase rallied behind her, with many calling out the media for trying to provoke her into uncomfortable situations. They pointed out how she had gracefully handled similar questions in the past, but this time, something had changed. The general consensus among her supporters was that Mariah deserved respect, and that no one should push her too far in the pursuit of drama. Mariah herself took a few days to reflect on the interview. In a rare moment of transparency, she took to Instagram and shared her thoughts with her followers. Sometimes, we get tired of answering the same old questions. You can only relive certain parts of your life so many times before it feels like you're stuck in the past, she wrote. It was a candid admission that resonated deeply with many of her fans, especially those who had followed her career for decades. Meanwhile, Andy Cohen, the professional, made a point to address the incident during his next few shows. He was careful not to escalate the situation but acknowledged that he may have crossed the line. It's important to respect the boundaries of your guests, and I'll take that lesson with me moving forward, he said during a segment, further softening the atmosphere around the clash. His humility seemed to cool the firestorm, though the memory of the heated interview still lingered. In the weeks following the interview, several celebrities weighed in on the situation, with some offering public support for Mariah. Singer Ariana Grande, who had often cited Mariah as a major influence on her vocal style, tweeted, "There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. Everyone deserves respect." Her tweet was met with overwhelming support, showing just how much solidarity there was among women in the entertainment industry when it came to handling intrusive questions. Behind the scenes, Mariah Carey's team was reportedly working hard to ensure that future interviews would go more smoothly. Sources close to the singer mentioned that Mariah was now more selective about the types of interviews she would give, focusing on opportunities where she could control the narrative and steer the conversation in a direction that felt more comfortable to her. As Mariah's career continued to soar, the incident with Andy Cohen became a talking point in the ongoing debate about the treatment of female celebrities in the media. Many wondered whether this was a turning point and how questions about personal lives and past controversies were handled. Mariah had set a precedent by standing up for herself, and others in the industry took note of her bold response. In interviews following the Andy Cohen clash, Mariah reflected on the broader issue of celebrity and media scrutiny. Being in the public she isn't easy, and sometimes the pressure to be perfect is overwhelming, she shared with a fellow artist during a live interview. But I've learned that standing up for myself is the most important thing I can do. Her honesty only endeared her more to fans, who saw her as a woman in control of her own narrative. As the holiday season approached, Mariah's iconic Christmas songs began to fill the airwaves once again, reminding fans of her enduring influence. Despite the media frenzy surrounding the Andy Cohen interview, her music continued to dominate charts worldwide. It was clear that no matter the drama, Mariah's legacy as a powerhouse vocalist and entertainer remained untouchable. But the events surrounding the interview were far from forgotten. For months afterward, talk shows and gossip columns continued to reference the clash as a prime example of celebrity tension. It was discussed in interviews, debates, and even podcasts dedicated to dissecting pop culture. The moment had become a part of Mariah's larger story, one that would forever be linked to her strength and her refusal to let anyone push her around. Meanwhile, Andy Cohen's brand was unaffected by the incident. In fact, some would argue that the clash only made his show more relevant. People tuned in to watch What Happens Live not only for its lighthearted banter but also for the unpredictable moments that came from his interactions with celebrity guests. The Mariah interview became one of the most talked about episodes, ensuring that the show remained at the forefront of pop culture conversations. Over the next few months, Mariah Carey's public appearances were more calculated. She chose her interviews wisely, opting for platforms where she could have a more controlled and respectful conversation. It was a shift that marked a new phase in her career, one where she would no longer tolerate anything less than the utmost respect from the media. Fans applauded this new, more assertive Mariah. The media, meanwhile, began to adapt to this new Mariah. No longer was she the easygoing diva who would indulge in every question with a smile. The public had witnessed her limits, and they now understood that probing into her personal life was not something she would tolerate without consequence. The tone of subsequent interviews shifted, with hosts becoming more cautious and respectful when engaging with the pop icon. One of the more unexpected results of the Andy Cohen clash was the surge in Mariah Carey-related content online. Fans dug through old interviews, music videos, and live performances, reigniting their love for the singer's vast catalog. Mariah's holiday special from years past gained renewed attention, with even more people streaming her music as the holiday season rolled around. The buzz surrounding Mariah Carey reached new heights when she announced a special concert tour, marking a major milestone in her career. The announcement took the spotlight off the Andy Cohen incident and shifted the conversation back to her music. Fans were thrilled at the idea of seeing her perform live again, and ticket sales soared within hours of the announcement. The concert tour, which was promoted as an intimate Mariah Carey experience, was framed around her most iconic songs and moments from her career. As Mariah stood on stage, sharing her personal stories behind the music, it was clear that she was reclaiming the narrative in a way that felt empowering. The tour became a celebration of her artistry, and the drama from the interview seemed like a distant memory in comparison. The Andy Cohen incident eventually faded from the media cycle, but its impact was lasting. Mariah Carey had proven that she would not be pushed around, and in doing so, she had earned even more respect from her fans and peers. She had turned what could have been a career-damaging moment into a testament to her strength and self-respect. With each passing year, Mariah's career continues to evolve. As she embraces new projects and refines her brand, she remains one of the most influential and resilient figures in the entertainment world. The incident with Andy Cohen was just a blip on the radar of an extraordinary life, but it showcased her ability to handle adversity in her own way. In interviews, Mariah has often stated that she's not interested in fame for the sake of fame, as she's focused on her art, her music, and her legacy. The clash with Andy Cohen reinforced this perspective, showing that Mariah would rather face a media storm than compromise her integrity for the sake of maintaining a flawless public image. As Mariah Carey moves forward in her career, it's clear that she remains a force to be reckoned with. The media may try to provoke her again, but fans know that she will stand firm. In the end, Mariah's ability to assert herself in the face of confrontation has only added to her legend, proving that her place in music history is secure. Looking back on the Mariah Carey and Andy Cohen showdown, it stands as a reminder that celebrities, despite their fame and glamour, are entitled to their privacy and their limits. For Mariah, it was a defining moment, a turning point that would shape her approach to media for years to come. But for her fans, it was just another chapter in the ongoing saga of one of music's greatest talents. Mariah Carey's legacy, built on her incredible vocal range, chart-topping hits, and undeniable star power, continues to shine brightly. While the Andy Cohen interview will always be a part of her story, it will never define her. She is, and always will be, Mariah Carey, the diva who stands tall and unapologetically defends herself when the world tries to push her too far. For Mariah, it was a moment of clarity. The world may expect perfection, but she knows better than anyone that true strength lies in owning your imperfections, standing up for yourself, and staying true to who you are. Whether you love her or loathe her, there's no denying that Mariah Carey is a force both on and off the stage. And so, as Mariah continues to break records, inspire generations, and conquer new heights in her career, we are reminded that sometimes, the most powerful statement a celebrity can make isn't through their music, but through their actions. Mariah Carey's ability to stand firm in the face of pressure is her most defining quality, and that's something no one can take away from her. As the years go on, Mariah Carey's career continues to serve as an inspiration to countless women in the entertainment industry. Her ability to navigate the intense pressures of fame, while still staying true to herself, sets an example for those who dream of stardom. The Andy Cohen clash, though initially uncomfortable, ended up becoming a powerful symbol of Mariah's resilience and self-respect. In recent interviews, Mariah has embraced a more relaxed and self-assured approach to her media interactions. She no longer feels the need to prove herself or cater to anyone's expectations. Instead, she's focused on sharing her truth, not just as an artist, but as a woman who has lived through the highs and lows of a career that spans over 3 decades. The public's perception of Mariah Carey has evolved over time. No longer seen solely as the diva or the queen of Christmas, she is now respected as an industry veteran and a voice for self-empowerment. Her courage to stand up for herself during the infamous Andy Cohen interview only added to her complex, multi-layered image, one that transcends the labels often placed on her. The tension between Mariah and Andy Cohen eventually became a cautionary tale for other interviewers and hosts. It reminded the media that while they might expect vulnerability or conflict for entertainment value, they must respect the boundaries of their guests. Mariah's sharp response proved that celebrities, too, have the right to control the direction of their own narratives. For Mariah, this episode was another example of her ability to turn adversity into strength. It was a lesson in owning one's story and being unapologetic about setting boundaries. In a world where the personal lives of celebrities are constantly under scrutiny, Mariah's stance was a powerful statement that resonated with fans and fellow artists alike. As Mariah Carey moves forward, she is more than just the sum of her many hits or public controversies. She is a trailblazer, a survivor, and a woman who continues to pave her own path in an industry that is often unforgiving. The heated clash with Andy Cohen, while intense, only solidified her place in the annals of pop culture history, a reminder that Mariah Carey will always remain in control of her own story.